All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're going deep on Elon Musk's plan for colonizing Mars.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, and we're not talking science fiction here. This is a concrete vision, straight from Musk himself.
From the source.
Exactly. His
Yeah.
2017 presentation to the International Astronautical Congress. It's got it all.
Blueprints, tech specs.
Even some philosophy sprinkled in there. And the big idea, he's talking about making humanity a multi-planetary species.
Ambitious, to say the least.
That's putting it mildly. But what's fascinating is he's totally serious about this.
He's not just throwing out ideas. He believes it's essential for our future.
Yeah, and he sees Mars as our best bet.
Why Mars, though?
Well, that's a great question for our expert. Why does Musk think making humanity multiplanetary is so important?
Well, you gotta think long-term. Musk's argument is all about survival.
Survival of the species.
Exactly. He's talking about safeguarding humanity from catastrophes.
Like what? What kind of catastrophe?
Well, think asteroid impact, some unforeseen event that could wipe us out.
Okay, so Mars is like our backup planet.
Exactly. A lifeboat. A way to ensure humanity lives on.
It's a pretty wild concept when you think about it.
It is, but he makes a compelling case.
So it's not just a giant leap for mankind, it's a strategic move.
For the entire species, the
Yeah.
ultimate insurance policy.
Okay, I'm on board with the idea, but how do we pull this off?
Now we're getting to the good stuff. This is where the BFR comes in.
The big Falcon rocket, right?
That's the one. And this thing is an absolute game changer.
We're talking massive.
Yeah. Picture this. You could stack an entire Falcon 1 rocket.
Whoa, the whole thing.
The whole thing. Inside the BFR's payload bay. That's how big this thing is.
Okay, that's colossal.
It is. And it's designed to replace everything. Every single vehicle in SpaceX's fleet.
So the Falcon 9, the Dragon,
All gone. Everything funneled into the BFR.
Yeah.
Musk's going all in on this.
bold move.
Yeah.
So how's he planning to pay for this behemoth?
Well, it's actually pretty clever. By making SpaceX's current products obsolete.
He's disrupting his own company.
Exactly. It's all BFR all the time.
Yeah.
Focusing all resources on this one system.
That's a risky strategy, but I guess it shows how committed he is.
No doubt about that.
Okay, so we've got this gargantuan rocket. But size isn't everything.
True, it's what's under the hood that counts.
So what kind of tech is powering the BFR?
This is where it gets really interesting. The engine is the key.
Or engine?
The Raptor engine. And this thing is a beast, the most powerful rocket engine ever built.
Seriously.
Yeah, we're talking insane amounts of thrust.
But it's not just raw power.
No, it's precision engineering.
Yeah.
The whole thing is designed for efficiency and reusability.
Right, because Musk is all about reusability.
Absolutely. That's a core SpaceX principle.
So walk me through this pinpoint propulsive landing thing.
Okay, so you know how the Falcon 9 lands?
Yeah, using its engines to slow down and touch down gently.
Right. Well, the BFR takes that to a whole new level.
How so?
It's so precise that they're ditching landing legs altogether.
Wait, landing a rocket with no legs.
It sounds crazy.
It does.
But that's how confident they are in this technology.
So it just touches down directly on its launch pad.
Yep, ready for its next mission. No need to mess around with legs.
I'm trying to picture this. It still seems kind of risky.
There's always risk in space exploration.
That's true.
But that's how they push boundaries, right?
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got the rocket, the cutting-edge tech,
But there's one more big hurdle.
fuel.
You got it. Getting to Mars and back takes a ton of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Musk came up with a pretty wild solution.
What is it?
Orbital refueling.
Okay, now that sounds straight out of a movie.
I know, right? But it's the key to making Mars missions feasible.
So how does it actually work? Like painting a picture here.
Imagine a cosmic gas station. You've got the BFR up in orbit,
Okay,
and then a tanker spacecraft rendezvous with it.
and they just like connect in space?
Pretty much. They dock, and propellant is transferred from the tanker to the BFR.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is, but it's a game changer.
So no more hauling all the fuel from Earth for the entire trip.
Exactly. It's all about efficiency and cost effectiveness.
Smart. Okay, so we've got the rocket, the tech, the fuel solution. What about the timeline?
Well, in his 2017 presentation, Musk laid out a roadmap.
Okay, let's hear it.
He proposed launching the first cargo missions to Mars in 2022.
2022. We're a bit past that now.
Yeah, those dates were ambitious, to say the least.
Is that typical Musk? Aiming high?
He's definitely known for that. But even if the dates slip, the vision is still there.
So let's say those early Mars missions do happen. What's the plan once they land?
First things first, finding water. It's
Well,
essential.
of course, you got to have water.
Not just for drinking, but for fuel production, too.
Fuel production.
On Mars.
Yeah, they'll build a propellant plant right there on the surface.
How does that work?
It's a process called the Sabatier reaction.
But what?
The Sabatier reaction. It's a way to create methane and oxygen fuel using carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere and hydrogen.
So they can make fuel on Mars. That's
Yeah.
incredible. It's all about making the base self-sustaining.
Makes sense. So they find water, they make fuel. What then?
Well, the goal is to build a city, a full-fledged Martian city.
Whoa, hold on. A whole city.
Yep, that's the ultimate goal.
And he even talked about terraforming, right?
He did, but that's getting really far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, terraforming an entire planet. That sounds like science fiction.
It does, but the idea is to make Mars more Earth-like, eventually.
Okay, we're getting into some really big ideas here.
It's a big vision, for sure, but let's focus on those early missions first.
Right, back to reality for a moment. So finding water, making fuel, building a city, it's mind-blowing.
It is, and this is just the beginning of the journey.
And we haven't even talked about his plans for the BFR here on Earth yet.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other story.
This is going to be a wild ride.
Buckle up. Bold. Yeah, but that's what makes it so exciting, right? Musk is pushing us to think beyond what we think is possible.
You know what gets me, though? It's not just the tech.
The how to get to Mars stuff.
Right. It's like, what happens once we're there?
Building a new society.
Exactly. What kind of world are we creating? What are the rules, the laws?
It's a clean slate, almost. A chance to rethink everything.
Will it be a utopia? Or will we just repeat the same mistakes we've made here?
That's the big question, isn't it? Human nature doesn't just disappear because you're on Mars.
True. And what about Mars itself? Like, is it even ethical to terraform an entire planet?
That's a huge debate. Do we have the right to fundamentally change another world?
I mean, it's fascinating to think about, but also kind of scary.
It's both, for sure. It's forcing us to confront some really big questions.
Questions about what it means to be human, our impact on the universe.
Exactly. Colonizing Mars isn't just about rockets and tech. It's a philosophical journey, too.
Totally. Okay, but let's bring it back down to Earth for a sec. Musk talked about using the BFR for travel here, too.
Right, point-to-point travel, like New York to Tokyo in under an hour.
Okay, that's insane. But is it realistic?
Well, it's facing hurdles, definitely. Logistical, financial.
I bet. Imagine the cost of a ticket.
It'd be astronomical at first, no doubt. But think about it.
I am.
This technology could change everything. The way we travel, the way we do business.
It would shrink the world, basically.
Exactly. Connecting distant cultures like never before.
Yeah, it's hard to even fathom that kind of change.
It is, but that's what Musk does, right? He gets us thinking about what's possible.
He's a visionary, that's for sure. But sometimes I wonder,
What do you wonder?
if he gets so caught up in the big picture, he misses the practical stuff.
Like what?
I don't know, remember that whole Tesla Roadster stunt?
Sending a car into space?
Some people loved it, some hated it.
Yeah, I get the symbolism, but did it really advance the cause?
Maybe, maybe not. But it got people talking about space exploration.
That's true, it definitely made headlines. Okay, back to Mars. Self-sustaining city, finding water, making fuel. What about food?
Yes, the food problem. Can't forget about that.
We can't exactly pack enough for a whole civilization.
Nope. They'll need to grow their own food. Martian farming. That sounds tough.
It'll be incredibly challenging. The environment is harsh.
So what, giant greenhouses?
Probably something like that. Controlled environments, artificial lighting, the works.
And that's just the start. Imagine the psychological impact of living on Mars.
Isolation, confinement, that'll take a toll.
It's a huge undertaking. Makes you wonder who would actually sign up for this.
Well, throughout history, there have always been explorers, pioneers.
People who are drawn to the unknown.
Exactly. I think there would be plenty of volunteers ready to take that leap.
To be a part of history.
To push the boundaries of what's possible. It's an incredible opportunity.
Okay, so let's say we establish a colony. What's next? What's the end game?
Well, Musk has talked about terraforming, making Mars truly Earth-like.
But how? I mean, can we actually alter an entire planet?
It's a monumental undertaking, no doubt about it. The technology is way beyond us right now.
It's more of a long-term goal.
Very long term. We're talking centuries, maybe millennia.
And the ethical implications, too.
Huge. Do we have the right to change another planet so drastically?
It's a lot to consider. Mind-blowing, really.
It is, and that's what makes this whole conversation so fascinating.
We're talking about the future of humanity. Doesn't get much bigger than that.
It doesn't. And Musk is right at the forefront, pushing the boundaries.
He's a driving force, that's for sure.
Yeah.
even if his plans don't fully come to fruition.
The impact is undeniable. He's inspiring a generation of scientists, engineers, dreamers, exactly, people who are willing to imagine a future beyond what we can even conceive of today.
It's a powerful thing to challenge the status quo, to believe in something bigger than yourself.
It is, and that's why this whole conversation about colonizing Mars is so important. It's about more than just rockets and technology.
It's about who we are as a species and what we're capable of achieving.
Exactly. And that's something worth thinking about no matter where you stand on the whole Mars thing.
Okay, so we've explored this grand vision, this Mars thing.
Humanity's future among the stars.
Exactly. But let's bring it back down to Earth for a minute. Like, what does all this mean for us right here, right now?
That's the key, isn't it? Even if we never set foot on Mars ourselves.
Right. Most of us probably won't.
Probably not. But these ambitions, these goals, they impact us anyway.
How so?
Think about the technology. The stuff we need to figure out to make this whole multi-planetary thing work.
You're saying those breakthroughs could have applications here?
Absolutely. It's not just rockets and spacesuits. It's everything.
Give me an example.
Material science,
Yeah.
energy production, robotics, even medicine.
Wow, so it ripples out.
It does. It's like a catalyst for progress in all these different fields.
And it's not just the tech itself, right?
No, there's the inspiration too.
Like Musk's pushing boundaries, taking risks. That can be contagious.
It can. It encourages us to think bigger, to challenge our own assumptions.
I like that. So it's like a ripple effect in multiple ways.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone's on board with this whole Mars thing.
Right, some people say, hey, we've got problems here on Earth. Let's focus on those first.
Sure, that's a valid point. We do have problems here.
So what do you say to that argument?
I say it's not an either-or situation. We can do both.
Really? You think we can solve climate change and go to Mars?
I do. In fact, I think those things can reinforce each other.
Interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. To live on Mars, we need sustainable tech.
Right. Closed-loop systems, all that.
Exactly. And those same innovations can help us here on Earth.
Renewable energy, resource management.
Exactly. So it's not like we're taking resources away from solving problems here.
It's more like the solutions can overlap.
That's a good way to put it. And don't forget the intangible benefits.
What do you mean?
Space exploration, it unites people, it inspires us, reminds us that we're all in this together.
Kind of puts things in perspective, right?
It does. When you look at Earth from space, all those borders disappear.
Wow, yeah.
We're all just crewmates on Spaceship Earth.
So after all this deep diving into Musk's vision, where do you stand? Convinced?
I'm cautiously optimistic, I'd say.
What does that mean?
The challenges are massive. We can't sugarcoat that. But the potential rewards, they're huge, too.
And even if we don't colonize Mars, like fully,
Even if it's just the journey,
the attempt itself,
it'll change us,
yeah,
push us to innovate, to collaborate, to understand our place in the universe.
I agree. It's about pushing boundaries, challenging ourselves, daring to dream big.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe someday this will be seen as the start of something truly incredible.
The dawn of a new era for humanity.
A spacefaring civilization.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about.
It is, and it reminds us that the future isn't set.
We have a say in it.
We do, through our choices, our actions.
And in our willingness to embrace those bold visions.
Exactly.
So here's a final thought for you all as we wrap up this deep dive.
I'm listening.
If we do become multiplanetary, if that happens, how will it change us?
How will it change our understanding of ourselves?
Yeah, our place in the universe. The meaning of life, even.
Yeah.
Big questions, right?
They are. One's worth pondering.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the future.